it's like we're doing all these things we should be doing, and it's like, where's the fun in all of this? Like, it's being like sucked out of us because we've just given and we've given. And I'm reminded of flamingos. So when they actually give birth and have their kids, all of their pink goes away because they are giving everything to their children. And I think that is a visual representation of what happens to all of us. And now eventually the flamingos do get their pink back. And that happens with us when we hit that point of, where's the fun gone? Like, I'm just stressed out. I'm doing the things, bouncing from one place to the other, focused with this big mental load on the family. And we hit a point where we are out of all of our pink, and we need to decide to get it back for ourselves, because it is not going to come back for ourselves unless we choose to bring it back in and take that action to really find that fulfillment for ourselves.
Just a little taster of what is coming up on the show. But first, please do like this video and subscribe to the channel, and also tell your friends and family about this podcast. Please let us know in the comments if you would like to hear any particular topic in relation to sleep or health, and I will create a show especially for you, just for asking the question. So let's get on with the show. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another Empowering Family Health podcast. This show is all about empowering you if you're a parent, if you're a working mum, because life is so busy and we can get so disempowered with everything that's going on around us, and trying to keep everything going and manage everything as we do as mothers. And, if you're an entrepreneur or a female professional worker or whatever. So we have many hats that we are wearing, and you know what, life can get just chaotic and we can get burnt out so easy without even realizing it. So that's what this show is all about, is empowering you to really step into your power and recognizing where you're losing your energy and where you're becoming disempowered. And today on the show, I have a wonderful guest who's going to help us with all of that and so much more. We're going to talk about sexual energy as well, which is something we don't often talk about. And, it is, when we talk about energy, there's many different forms of energy, and sexual energy and even, our sexual relationships with our partners as well is really, really important, that we often forget about. We don't have the energy for or time for, and which is not ideal. So today on the show, we're going to speak with Jannine MacKinnon. And Jannine is a sexual empowerment coach and confidence coach. So Jannine, you are so welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah, I'm really excited because we literally just organized this a day or two ago, I think, at this stage. So
2 days ago.
Yeah. Because you're part of the 262 Women's Project with Deb Drummond as well. And, that's a big event that's ongoing. And, it's something that we're two of us are very, very closely related to and passionate about, because it's all about empowering women. And today I just wanted to get you on the show to speak to you about your area of experience and expertise. So tell us, Jannine, I'm really curious. The first question I always ask is what it is that you do and why you are doing it, because your passion behind it really shows, how amazing you are at this area and why you love doing it. So let's start there.
Yeah, that sounds great. So I am a confidence and sexual empowerment coach. I help women who have spent most of their life ticking the boxes, doing the right things. They have the marriage, the house, the family. And after a certain point, they often find themselves wanting more. Like, they've done these things that they're supposed to do, but yet it's not offering that like true fulfillment that really comes from the inside. It doesn't actually come from ticking those boxes and having those achievements. And so I support them in really finding that fulfillment, that power from within. And through working together, I use tools like breathwork, inner child healing, and pleasure practices. And they are able to just bring this beautiful presence into their lives. The presence and those simple everyday moments with their family, with friends, inside the bedroom. and really bring that passion and playfulness and pleasure into their lives again. And I fell into this work a few years ago. I would have had no idea that this is what I would be doing, but it called to me and I answered that call. And it all started, I'd say, early motherhood. I had 2 kids under 2 years old. They're a year and a half apart, almost exactly. And with about 4.5 years of back-to-back pregnancies and breastfeeding, I felt like my body wasn't my own anymore. I was very detached. It was more in service to my family, not my own. And when I stopped breastfeeding my youngest kid, I went on a path of reclamation, finding out who this new woman is. I'm no longer the carefree maiden I once was. I was solely focused on my family, raising my kids, and then now it was my turn to find myself again. And so that all started out with a weekly date night with myself, with journaling, which led into meditation, and later down the road into pleasure practices. And it was through kind of that journey of slowly going through those layers, a little bit deeper, that I found Tantra and Taoism and this really unique flavor that I bring into coaching. So Layla Martin has a sex, love, and relationship coaching certification. And I had a prior business. I was content creating. I was helping small businesses with their marketing. And just when I felt like it wasn't working, like it just was pushing, and it wasn't quite the thing, I found Layla Martin's program and I just knew it was for me. I hit some no's trying to make it happen. And I was like, you know what? I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm going to make this work. And I made it work and I fell in love with this work. It was able to transform my personal life, going from feeling resentful and overwhelmed and disconnected from myself and my family and pushing and working so much, to really being able to find that presence, find that joy, to feel fully alive again and not just kind of in service working. And now I've had the pleasure of helping other women with that as well. And so it's so fulfilling. It warms my heart thinking about it. So that's a little bit about my mission and how I got here.
I can see how lit up you are even just speaking about it. And, when you actually discover your love, what you actually love doing and enjoy doing. And it's funny because most of us, if you ask people, what is it that you enjoy doing, or, because they do say that, when you enjoy what you're doing in your work, you never really work a day in your life, really. And it's really important for us to enjoy what we're doing. And I think it when you feel it. And that's what's missing is, we were intellectual all the time about what we should do and what have you. And we're not actually dropping into our body and our heart and feeling that, embodying it really, and that's the thing. And it's you know when it shows up in your life. But something really, as you were talking there, Jannine, I think I could relate to it. I think so many women can relate to it because society has us set up, I think, to be a certain way. There's an expectation about a woman, the roles that we have to play in life. And you were talking about all, your pregnancies and back to breastfeeding and all of this, and it was just seemed like an endless. And then you reached a certain point in your life where, you felt like, well, it's my turn now, and you weren't feeling fulfilled because you were so focused on raising your children and what have you. And I think women reach a certain point in their life where it's like, okay, what's next? Is this all my life is? And, around that midlife kind of point. And is that your experience? Are you finding women at a certain age point that they're asking, is this all there is to life? Because all the fun seems to be gone out of it. Are you finding that?
Yes. And you put it so well. It's like we're doing all these things we should be doing. And it's like, where's the fun in all of this? It's being sucked out of us because we've just given and we've given. And I'm reminded of flamingos. So when they actually give birth and have their kids, all of their pink goes away because they are giving everything to their children. And I think that is a visual representation of what happens to all of us. And now eventually the flamingos do get their pink back. And that happens with us when we hit that point of where's the fun gone? Like, I'm just stressed out. I'm doing the things, bouncing from one place to the other, focused with this big mental load on the family. And we hit a point where we are out of all of our pink, and we need to decide to get it back for ourselves, because it is not going to come back for ourselves unless we choose to bring it back in and take that action to really find that fulfillment for ourselves.
I love how you described it with the flamingos. I did not know that about the flamingos.
Yeah, isn't that neat?
Yeah, I did not know. You learn something new every day. But yeah, it's true. And, we're very resilient as human beings, and nature, made us a certain way, but there's only so much that we can do until we fill our cup back up again, and this is where the burnout, and there's an awful lot of burnout in the world, especially with women. It's really chronic among women in particular, because we seem to be doing everything. And nowadays, years ago, the women mainly stayed at home, but now women they're going into the entrepreneurial world, and, and they have their own business, and the kids on top of that as well. And we're still expected to have the dinner on and watch the kids and all this, bring them to school or whatever, and juggling all of that. And our work never stops. In the evening time, then we're making the dinner or washing the clothes for their uniforms for school or whatever, and it just never stops. And it's expected of us. And we take that on as well. We don't actually question that until a certain point, like until we're burnt out, and it's like we need to be caring for ourselves and be aware of all these things and change our attitudes, I suppose. Can you explain to us, so women, they're striving and grinding, and they have this grit, and they're on the go all the time. They're busy. They use that word, and we say to a woman, how are you? They say, oh, I'm really busy. I'm flat out. That's typically what's said. And it's like that's a good sign, but it's not really, because, we're really burning the candle at both ends. Can you speak to us a little bit about, in terms of energies, female energy, masculine energy? Because I know you deal an awful lot with that. I think it's really important to highlight and to be aware of where these both energies can show up and where the balance needs to be.
Absolutely. So I think you hit the nail on the head with so many different parts of that. And before, mothers had a particular role. They often were staying within the home, and they had quite a bit of community around that. Neighbors would come over, family was quite involved. And over time, with feminism, and there's a huge part, yes, we need to be able to vote and have bank accounts, and all of these different things are very, very important. And with the big push of getting women into the workforce, I feel like there's been this undertone of women can do everything a man can do, and they're expected to do everything a woman should. So it's like this load just got put on rather than evening it out. And so because of this, we've been forced to shift from our feminine flow, which is more the nurturing, the emotional connection, the intuition, the receiving. And when we are shifting to doing all of these things, we're forced to move more into our masculine energy. And that is the doing, the go, 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 the giving, the analytical side. And a big part of that is our society is built around masculine energy, masculine cycles, masculine expectation. The work week, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, it's the same thing every single week. And that is built for the way men biologically work, where women, we tend to have more of a 28-ish day cycle. And we're much more cyclical, where it takes time for us to build up to our height. And we'll have a week where we're very go, go, go. We're more suited to that traditional 9 to 5. And then the other 3 weeks, we actually need to shift a little bit more to have it work for us. So going against our nature and pushing and doing all the time pushes us against our innate way of working, of being. And so that's what really shifts us into that masculine energy. And we all have both of these energies within us to varying degrees. But for the most point for women, we want to have kind of a greater side of the feminine and be able to tap into those masculine go, go, go side when it suits us. But when that's the primary, I find we tend to shut down in different ways, experience different health issues. We can become more reactive or more short. We don't have that same emotional connection because we are just stressed out and overwhelmed. we don't have that surrender, that receiving, and again, connecting with our family, being more intimate with our partners, because we are on the like more go, we need to have this mental load. We need to protect in a way our family and everything that needs to get done to make sure it gets done. And the more that is heightened, the harder it is to flip onto the other side. So that's what I help women with, is being able to find harmony between those masculine and feminine energies. And often that takes working within the relationship as well, because if we're going to let go of some of this masculine side, it needs to be carried and supported by someone else as well within the family, as well as taking things off our plates in different ways, delegating in different ways. There's a lot of different approaches to it. But finding that harmony, that's where we get that presence, that connection, that flow.
There's so much to talk about in this whole area. I mean, I think it's like a topic we could talk about for the whole day, because there's so much awareness that we need to have around it, and even for our children, right? Because this show is all about empowering family health. It's all about the family. I believe that who we become, it all starts in the family home, right? And I think it's really important to have that environment for our children. And when it comes to the masculine feminine energies that you were talking about, because children learn from our examples, but how we are being, right? And, when we are conscious of this and activating the masculine or the feminine or whatever it is that we need for that balance, our children will pick up on this unconsciously, right? And I think it's just really important to have this awareness around those two areas, and when we need to know when to slow down or when we need to get into action, because sometimes we can be too slow as well, and we can be taking too many rests and not getting into action, not making decisions, not making choices, right? And actively doing something. And people think you can meditate all day or whatever, and something magically is going to appear, but we need to do that. We need to pray, but we also need to get into action and do something as well, and raise the energy. The ability to rest is the body's key to healing. Do you struggle with getting asleep at nighttime or staying asleep during the night and waking up the next morning feeling absolutely exhausted? My book, How to Get a Good Night's Sleep, is easy to understand, it's solution-based, and it's packed with research to help you take back control of your night's sleep. My book is available on Amazon, and it's also available on howtogetagoodnightsleep.com. This book is also available in audio and ebook. So get your copy today and start having the best night's sleep that you've only ever dreamed of. Well, you mentioned something about cycles, and I just want to delve into that a little bit more, because for the women, and this is something that I discovered in the last 2 years maybe or so as a sleep coach. So women have more cycles, if you like. We have layers of different cycles. Mm-hmm. And we have the menstrual cycle, as you say, and there is an energy peak performance, and even for a daily element as well. But in terms of menstruation, then you can talk about perimenopause and menopause, and we have all that hormonal stuff kind of going on as well. And hormones is a big thing that we need to manage too in terms of our energy. So can you talk to that in terms of cycles? Because I only discovered this and I thought this was profound. So there is a time in the month where we have more energy, and there's a time in the month where we have less energy. And as a businesswoman or, a busy mom or whatever, when we know this in our cycle, we can manage our days more effectively.
Absolutely. And so, as you touched on, we as women have our menstrual cycles, and there are shifts as we go through perimenopause and menopause, although they are quite tied in with the seasons and with the moon. They're just going to shift in that length of time depending what's going on in our lives. And so we all have a winter that is considered our menstruation week. So this is a time for hibernating, for tuning inward. Our intuition is much more heightened at this period of time. So it is great for being able to meditate, to really see what comes to you in terms of what you want to bring forward into spring. So spring would be the week following your bleed. And that's when you begin to plant those seeds, to do those different planting, planning different things that are going on. Your energy is starting to pick up. You find more excitement in things. And then your ovulation time is your summer. That's when you are productive, you are social. It's great to book speaking engagements. And I actually will like to tie my launches to this period of time, or my content creating and social media, because that is when I'm shining and out there. Yeah. And we can get so much done in that ovulation week. It's incredible. And then we start to shift into the fall. And so that's preparing for winter. PMS, it's funny, so many women hate PMS and going through that irritation and these different things that come up. But it's actually, in my opinion, this beautiful superpower of showing us what is not working in our lives.
Yeah.
Because these things irritate us at other times. It has just heightened our reaction to them. And so this is a great opportunity to see what's not working for us and strip those things away, just as the leaves fall from the trees.
Yeah.
And then we will have some nesting going on as well as we're preparing for our winter, so we can get those little last bits and pieces done. And then we shift back into our winter again. And it's interesting. There's so many different facets that this affects: our energy, our productivity, our intuition, our connection, and our sexuality as well. That flows with those cycles. And one surprising nugget I got from cycle tracking consistently is I actually get quite ticklish a few days before my bleed.
No.
And so previously, this would be like an irritation, like, why is this thing that worked before all of a sudden like tickling me and not working? Like, what's going on? And it was just this like clunky, not great point. But now having this understanding of it, it's like, oh, okay, my bleed is coming soon, and let's do this other thing that works a lot better for me. So there's so many different things tied into this.
But yeah, I love how you use the seasons, and it really shows, in terms of energy, the hibernation during the winter time and what have you. And it's so true. I think it gives us more power when we understand this, when we understand our cycles, and it just makes things a little bit more free for us, and we have more power, and we can get into that flow as well, as you say. And in terms of sexual energy, right, I really want to talk about this because this is your forte area, right? So how can sexual energy, what is sexual energy, first of all? Because it's not necessarily always about sex, right? Although it is as well. But can you define what sexual energy is, and then speak into, sex in the bedroom and why this is important as well, and how it helps our hormones and raise our energy and all that good stuff as well?
Yes, absolutely. So our sexual energy is our creation energy. When you look at the chakras, I don't know how familiar you are with them, but our sexual energy center is right around our womb space. And so it's quite literally our life force energy. It is through our sexual experiences that we create life on this earth. And so it is very tied with creativity and with flow, with emotional fluidity. And so we can tap into this energy. It also tends to spike around that ovulation time, around that summer full moon energy. And there's many different ways we can tap into this, doing simple things as dancing and moving our hips, because again, it is within that energy center within our hips.
Yeah.
And that we can start to move it a little bit. And then through different pleasure practices. And there are both non-sexual and sexual pleasure practices. And so non-sexual, say if you're wanting to like really oomph that up and perhaps pour it into your work or into something you're creating, you can do some different like Kegels with a bit of a meditation, begin to build that energy, and you can actually move it through your body. So that's something I work with clients with. And I have an unapologetic practices collection that has meditations, breathwork, and pleasure practices to teach you how to do this. And so you can actually cycle it through your body and use it as nourishment. There are also, I love this one pleasure practice. It's called resourcing and goodness. And so it's finding a great internal feeling. Perhaps it's love or joy or connection, tapping into that while also perhaps touching your face, caressing your hair, touching your arm, and feeling that pleasure, feeling that good energy, and then using it to intentionally nourish your body. Send that energy deep into your blood, flowing around into your bones, really support supporting you from the inside out. And then you can move into the more sexually activated side using, if it's a personal pleasure practice, a yoni egg or a wand to really be able to connect with your body, with your feminine power, build that energy even more. And again, doing that with a partner as well, and really bringing in this deep, deep connection. So it's shifting from that doingness to really that deep connection, feeling the energy flowing. And it's just so nourishing. I find can be that more focus on the doing and achieving that orgasm, and it can be like, poof, gone. If you're lucky enough to even achieve that within those experiences, right?
Yeah.
And then shifting into this more slow pleasure side of things, it's more about the journey. It's more about cultivating that energy. And I think you can kind of tell as I'm talking about it, like it's so much more nourishing. And it's a great thing to weave into your self-care practices, into those weekly date nights that I recommend all the time. Same day, every week. My day is Sunday. It's my weekly date night with myself. I know to count on it every Sunday. If something happens to come up, it's really easy to be like, okay, that's my weekly date night. Let's do it Monday instead. And to just really keep that relationship with myself and to truly fill my cup up on that deeper level, because just scrolling or journaling is great. I love incorporating that, and weaving in things like pleasure practices fills that cup up on a much deeper level than most things.
I could really feel that energy as you were speaking. I could, caressing your face. And, I do this at night. Every night when I go to bed, I use castor oil on my skin and on my eyes and what have you. And my mum has glaucoma. And so I started doing this on my eyes just, to help my eyes and what have you. But I've been doing it on my skin and just doing this. And my daughter sometimes gives me a face massage at nighttime before I go to bed. And it's so amazing. It really stops everything, and you're really focusing on what's happening and how it feels, that touch. And it's just, it's hard to describe almost. You got to feel it and experience it, because it's really, really important, because it really slows down, because our nervous system, when we talk about all the systems in our body and how our body works, our nervous system really informs all of our other systems. And we talk about the fight or flight and the rest and digest. And we need to, I think, in my opinion, practice activating that rest part of our nervous system regularly during the daytime. I talk a lot about taking rest during the daytime. I don't mean rest taking a nap. I mean resting from, are you hanging out with people that are driving you nuts? Their energy is just too much. Are they complaining all the time or whatever? Taking rest, because there's spiritual, there's emotional, there's physical, where we need to take a rest from all those areas. And to be able to slow down, I mean, it's no joke, because our energy is just consumed so much, and it's caused our nervous system to be in a hyper state. And this is where all the diseases happen, and we can't sleep at night then as a result. Can I talk a little bit about how it's affecting our nervous system in terms of, slowing down and going inward, and because energy is really important, and vitality, but really to be conscious of those two different parts of the nervous system.
Absolutely. So as you said, tapping into the meditation, breathwork, and pleasure practices is really activating that rest and digest part of your system, and being able to bring that pleasure in is rewiring those neural pathways to be able to more easily shift into that state. So with that resourcing and goodness pleasure practice that I have, there's actually a piece in that we do some pendulation. And so while you're in that good state, okay, let's weave to that other side, to a more negative feeling, something that is very stressful for us. Allow ourselves to feel it. It's okay to feel it. We don't need to fight it. And then pendulate back into that resourced goodness. And so that really helps with those neural pathways to be able to shift one to the other a lot more easily with more flow. So we're not as stuck in this fight or flight. And then also the really neat thing about pleasure, whether it's your personal pleasure practice or partnered experiences, it brings both sides of the nervous system online in this really unique way because, yes, you are more activated and heightened, being able to like feel all of these different sensations and that more peak orgasmic experience that is on that one side. And then on the parasympathetic state, you do get more of that rest and digest. You do get more of that bliss, that receiving. And so it's really neat and being able to have this dance between the two. And because you are so open and focused on your different sensations, it's firing different areas of the brain. There's a lot you can do in self-development with this side as well, with really calling in what kind of beliefs you want to have, how you want to really embody yourself in the day, and be able to say that through affirmations or visualizations while you're in this state. And it sinks so deeply compared to some other modalities where you're more on that surface level. You're just fully opened up. So that's why I just love playing in this realm.
Yeah, it is. It really is like we're really playing with it, because, and I can really hear what you're saying, because when we practice, coming in and out of rest and been deeply connected with ourselves, it's given us more resources, and therefore it's given us that sense of safety, that because life happens, stuff comes up, but when we're practicing this often and tapping into different parts of the nervous system, it's like if something happens, it's okay. We're more open to finding a resource, being resourceful to find a solution or whatever, and therefore it's like it's opening, as you say, the neural pathways. It's enabling us to go deeper into our nervous system to also experience those pleasures that you're talking about as well on a much deeper level, and then being able to connect to our partner as well, if when it comes to having a sexual relationship or encounter or whatever. And I just think I think it's so powerful. It's such a powerful thing, and there's so many ways and breathwork and things that we can practice, and meditation and whatever, and there's something for everybody. But having fun as well, because fun really lightens us up, and I think fun brings out that childlike energy, that you talk a lot about as well, because accessing your child inside you is really important. Can you talk to us a little bit about that, actually? Because the child energy is always in us, whether we're an adult or not, and it's really important to activate that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's so much to those inner child pieces. And often I find we struggle accessing that playfulness, because we have those more stress responses tend to be our normal states, and because of different things that have happened throughout our life. And so this doesn't necessarily need to be big childhood trauma. There's small things like the way our peers spoke to us about something at school, or experiences with our first boyfriends, or different things like that. And so those wire our nervous system in a particular way. And often we put up these protector pieces of, okay, don't be too much, because that pits other girls against me and they don't like it when I'm like that. Oh, don't dress this certain way because that attracts the wrong kind of attention and I am more shamed when I dress the way that I truly want to. So we pack these things on and we close ourselves up, and that inner child gets more and more buried. Mm-hmm. And so with doing different kinds of inner child work, which I do with clients, we're able to update the system on our current reality. Sure, little Susie might have said whatever on the playground, but now we are safe to really be our full authentic self. We actually have a circle of friends who celebrate us for doing that. We have a partner who supports us and loves when we are shining. Yeah. And so we're able to update these pieces to that current reality. And with being able to balance out that nervous system as well, we bring that more playfulness into things. And we might find ourselves like having tickle fights with our partner. And maybe it's been years. We haven't done that since we were dating, right? But yeah, we can really be present with our kids and get in and play with them and have fun, and not just kind of be around them thinking they're very cute and enjoying the experience, but it's just a different flavor to it that you're able to access. And then creativity, really flows too. I feel like I can go on and on. There's so many pieces to it, but it's quite wonderful what we can access when we do this work.
Yeah, the child is there's something about with the child, because the energy is different. And you know, when we talk about roles or parts, sometimes people call it parts therapy or whatever, because we play these different roles and we act in a certain way, you know, depending on our environment and what have you. But our child, because we're very conditioned as a child growing up, and all these neural pathways start forming. And there is this thing that they say about unlearning, but being aware of what happened or whatever, and then reframing it, or, you know, what did we make it mean? And we make it into a different a perspective. We have a perspective around it. So when we identify all these things, what happened as a child, you know, whether it was a big traumatic event and trauma is just different levels of it, you know, like just something happened really, you know, because our brain protects us, and then we embody that, and it becomes, you know, and we cut off the childlike energy. And yeah, like there's so much, there's so much. Gabor Mate talks a lot about that, you know. Gabor Mate, have you ever heard of Gabor Mate?
Yeah, I've read his book, The Myth of Normal. So
yeah. I love his work, especially, you know, and it's like, oh my God, every time he says something, it's like, oh my God, it's just so powerful how, you know, who we're being today in the world is as a result of what happened 20, 30, 40 years ago, you know. And when we see that, when we understand it and we can change the meaning around it, it can just change. Because women in particular are people pleasers, you know, we're always pleasing people because we want to be approved of. And that even might not necessarily have, you know, that could have been generational as well. Like, you know, because we, you know, women were expected to be a certain way through the generations, but that's all changing now. I think that the energy in the world is really changing. It's an exciting time right now, you know, what's happening in the world, you know. But I love the work that you're doing and helping women, because I really feel personally that women have been recognized, undervalued, underseen, whatever. And there is something special about women that needs to be highlighted. And even for ourselves, for us to recognize it in ourselves, how truly amazing that we are. Like, we're freaking amazing. We just don't feel worthy half the time, you know. And, you know, we need to access that, you know, the masculine energy as well. And, you know, to get into action and get up there and speak, and, you know, whatever it is that we need to do or say or be. And it's just so powerful. And there's so many ways that we can do this, because we're great at collaborating, we're great at helping each other, we're great at asking for help. And this is part of our journey to success. And one of the things that you said that I loved was the date night. Can you just tell our audience, what does a date night look like? Because it's something I never really considered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we hear all the time how important it is to maintain our friendships, to reach out in our relationships, our marriages. You need to have that regular date night. And it is very important to do that for ourselves too, right? Everything starts with us and the foundation we create for ourselves. And so a weekly date night, as I touched on, highly recommend just the same day every week. It's a lot easier to keep that momentum and to restart when you stall compared to just trying to pencil it in wherever. And so that is going to look differently for everyone, depending on what your interests are. But the intention I recommend bringing into it is to connect with yourself and nourish yourself. And so this can be done in all different ways. Perhaps it means having just a really delicious tea and some dark chocolate and really relishing into the experience of it. Listening to music and moving your body in a carefree way. No one else is watching. Do your thing. It can be journaling, meditating, having a nice hot bath, or all three at the same time. I'd love to do that. And also different pleasure practices, which are really founded in connecting with all of the different senses. As you touched on with your night routine, I highly recommend everyone to give themselves a face massage. Yeah. And it feels super awkward at first, but it feels amazing to just really dig into there. And that is a great first step with connecting with your body in a sensual way. And then you can build from there in whatever way it feels good for you. And I do find having guided meditations and pleasure practices allows you to drop into the experience, to be guided through it and really shift into that receiving energy instead of like thinking about what you're going to do. So that's why I have that provided in my unapologetic practices collection, because you can just drop into it and relish in the experience and feel truly nourished and be able to connect with yourself, understand what's not working for you. If perhaps you notice at a certain date night, certain things like aren't feeling great, or it's harder to drop into things, this is a vital sign. It is a signal to you that something perhaps is going on in your life, which is making you stay more in that fight or flight, stressed out response. And so explore that. Everything is welcome in these date nights. It's a place for you to connect, to explore, and to nourish.
I love that you said it's about receiving, because a lot of women are not good at that. So receive, and it's your time to do whatever you want just for the sake of it, right? That's, I can hear in all of that. And yeah, the receiving and the pleasure, because you're just doing it for yourself, nobody else. And that's what's really, truly important. I love that. A date night. I love that. I love that. Absolutely love that. We're coming near the end, right? And I could talk to you all day. I mean, I've written down so many notes, and I haven't even gotten through half of them, right? But can you give us we talked about an awful lot of things. Can you give us some more tips or something that we haven't talked about in terms of how women can help themselves tap into their energy, rise to the occasion, being the best that they can be, nourish themselves? Any other tips that we haven't covered that you can show out there for our listeners?
Yes, one thing is like jumping out that I think is so important. And that is for being able to connect with our no and our yes. So often, as you touched on in the conversation, people pleasing, doing the right thing for everyone else, we have overrode our no response, and we have stuffed it down and quieted it down so we can just continue to say yes to everybody else. And so something you can weave into your weekly date night is really getting in touch with that no and with that yes. And that can be as simple as saying yes, noticing the physical response, saying no, and noticing what comes up. Now, you can build on to that, thinking of particular situations. You can lie on the ground with your knees bent, open yourself up on the yes, because that's like, yes, I feel safe in this. Close up in the no, I don't want this. And so really get in touch with what your yes and your no is, and then honor it when it comes up in your life. When you notice these certain no feelings come up, pause, check in with yourself. You can tell the other person, let me get back to you. Take your time with yourself, and then say no if your body is telling you no. And as you become more and more practice with this, more and more confident, that confidence builds. The more you say no, the more it's received well, the more energy you begin to build for yourself, because you don't have all these energy links going out to everyone else. And then you also get in touch with that yes. You know what is like a full body, heck yes, let's do this thing. And you can really follow that, use that as your guiding light with your different decisions. So I'd say that is like a really big one as well.
I love that. And what I can really hear in all that, what you're saying, right, is feel it in your body. And a lot of people would say, I can't feel that. I've had clients that are like, I can't feel that. Like they don't know what I'm talking about, when you say, what can you feel in your body? Is it a knot in your stomach or in your throat, or does it feel hot or cold? All this stuff, can you give it a color? And I think this is all embodiment, this conversation around embodiment. So, and when we practice this outside of the situation, imagine a yes or no situation and closing yourself. That's great what you said. Close yourself off or open yourself up for the yes, and practice what that feels like, because then when it happens in the real world, you'll get that sense in your body. So that's your cue. You'll be able to understand that in your body. So I love what you said, open yourself up for the yes, just say yes and open, and just what's that feel like just when you're saying it. And I think the trick is really in practicing it. Outside of the event, and then your body can become familiar with that, and then it can recognize it in the real situation. I love that. That's so powerful. You have a free gift that you want to give our audience. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So I have a honey pot meditation, which is just this delicious intro into pleasure practices, into connecting with your sexual organs, your sexual body. And so I walk you through this guided meditation where we envision a honey pot of delicious honey. And we place in all these different ingredients that we want to embody. It can be confidence, sexuality, magnetism, maybe some sassiness, maybe some kind of like mischievousness, whatever is you feel called to do. Put these in, and then we pour that honey on our body. We visualize it sinking into our womb space, moving down into our yoni, all the way back to our anus. That is a special area as well. And we sink it so deeply into this sacred space, feeling these qualities permeate deep into our body. And it's delicious. It is just a great way of, like you said, building that relationship with your body with these different qualities. And that is available for free at the link that I will provide you.
Brilliant. And I'll put that in the show notes for people to download that as well. Thank you so much, Jannine. That's amazing. I got goosebumps. I just imagined that. I was like, oh my God. It's like our feminine energy, that's the source. That's what it's like. It's filling up that source of sexual female energy. And that's what I got with just as you were talking. It's like, yes.
Oh, it's powerful.
Yeah, brilliant. I think we really underestimate, because it's not just a physical part of our body, the energy that's there. And even when you're talking about the chakras as well, the movements. I remember doing that years ago, actually, moving the hips around kind of like this, and then in the opposite direction as well. And just to really activate that energy, that it really is powerful. And, when we talk about, diseases and discomfort in our body, energy comes first. It comes first through our energy field and then manifests physically in the body. So sometimes we're not even aware of it, but doing this really keeps us healthy in those areas and keeps those energies vibrating, and rising up through all the rest of our chakras. Oh my God, I could talk to you all day today, and I'm so glad we had this chance to have this conversation. Oh my God. Woo!
Woo, I love it.
Oh my God, it's brilliant. So listen, Jannine, I always ask this last question. Well, first of all, can you sum up, maybe in just one sentence or one word, or if you want to add to it, but just to really, I want to leave our listeners really feeling empowered. So is there any one last message, if nothing else that I get out of this conversation, what one thing would you really like to leave our listeners with?
I am working at being concise, so let me see how I can put this very succinctly, is trust your inner wisdom and follow your curiosity.
Oh God. That's the childlike energy coming up here. Curiosity, yeah. Yeah, and going into that whole self-inquiry and wondering and, putting on that inquiry hat and discovering something about, because that's when we're open. And when we're open, we can discover more, I think. There's more to say. I love that. I absolutely love that.
And trust yourself in that process. If you're feeling called, see where it takes you and trust you can hold yourself in that.
Jane, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing in the world. I just want to acknowledge you for, stepping up and really speaking your truth and how you feel that women can be empowered through the work that you're doing. And it's just incredible. It really is. I mean, I'm on a high now.
I love it.
So it's amazing. It's really what I needed right now with everything that's going on in my life right now, right? Because I have a lot of challenges going on, and it's okay, but this is really charging me up to deal with. So thank you.
You are so welcome. Thank you for having me. Thank you for those listening. And I think you can tell, even talking about these things, you can tap into these different energies that really nourish you and fuel you. So thank you.
So important to fill ourselves up and nourish ourselves, because we deserve it, and we need that. That's our energy charge. We really do need it to show up at our best. And my God, women are absolutely amazing, and we've so much to do in the world, and we deserve so much more than what we're giving ourselves. So on that note, Jannine, thank you so much, and go and have a wonderful day. And I will see you at the next 262 Women's Project.
Thank you. That sounds great. I look forward to it.
Take care.
Bye.
I do hope you are enjoying these conversations, and to help me continue putting these videos and audio podcasts together, I do have an ask. I do need support to help me to keep bringing you knowledge and insights. There is a Patreon link, patreon.com/empowering family health, or you can make a donation via PayPal. All the links are in the description and the pinned comment. You can do a one-off, or you can do a monthly support. So I'd really appreciate that. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Take care.